with me, because I had a conversation this week with someone that was in a historic district, is that they are neutral, and they are not neutral. They were invented in the 1970s in Michigan, and they have been historically used to prevent development.
Yeah.
And they are being presented neutrally here. So when we present this way, it just sort of ignores how historic districts, and in particular, how historic districts in Ann Arbor have been used in the 1970s and 80s to prevent higher density housing from being built.
There's been some conversation through engagement about whether or not we should keep historic districts or whether we shouldn't. I think it's along these lines. Generally, I haven't heard a lot of community engagement advocacy for eliminating them. That's not to say we haven't heard any. I agree that it has an impact of constraining housing supply in those areas. It's also definitely past legislative policy of the city that we don't have to abide by in the future, but do we want to recognize it in this plan as something to perpetuate?
If that's the way that you don't have change in your neighborhood, I think that is a perverse outcome of new historic districts being formed. I don't know that is what we would want to encourage. Can you abolish the ones that you have? Like, what does that process? I'm not suggesting, just for people watching, I'm not suggesting that I just really do not know how that works.
Yeah, I don't profess to be an expert in that, and my understanding is that it is that it's difficult because part of the lead up to creating it is recognizing that there's a public purpose value in preserving it. I mean, it's pitting a current legislative decision against a historic legislative decision.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, to that point, I would want to strike it, because I think Commissioner Mills articulated it very well when she said to enable more would be a perverse outcome against our goals for density citywide.
But this says it will be maintained.
You want to strike that they're maintained. You don't want to commit to that.
I would want to strike them.
Okay.
I know that legislatively, it may be nearly impossible. I think Mr. Leonard was being kind when he said difficult to unwind a historic district, because I think all of the members of the historic district have to agree, and then it has to go to the legislative body, and then it has to be approved by the state. So there's at least 3 stages where that can run off the rails. But I don't think it's in our future.
So
That's my singular articulation.
So I think one of the things with the historic districts, for not necessarily all of our historic districts, but many to most of them, they are already fairly dense. So Old West Side, Old Fourth Ward, they're already areas that are denser than other areas. And I think one of the things that I would like to see in here, so I don't mind, I actually think having like the Old West Side exist makes it easier to talk about having more dense housing, because that's a beloved part of our city. And we can say, look, these people live and the houses are close together and everybody lives and has gardens and it's lovely. But I do think that having some recognition that historic districts are a tool to prevent development, that having our parks helps or prevents development in some places, and that there are, I think Commissioner Hammerschmidt said, there are trade-offs, and that if we are going to continue and we want as a community to have historic districts, which I think generally most people do, not everybody certainly, they were initially created to preserve a type of housing and lifestyle because people didn't want different neighbors in. I'm trying to figure out how to say this. But I think that if we say right now that we want to strike historic districts, I think that in large part will doom this plan.
Oh, I mean, sure. I mean, the thing I just want to note is, as Commissioner Weatherby adequately and correctly described them, there were tons of people who were just excluded
Yeah.
as a result of it. And that is what is missing. So we
Okay.
had someone talk earlier about exclusionary zoning for single detached housing without recognizing its origins, how it was used. We're not projecting that onto the person who dwells in it. I dwell in a single family detached house.